So we talk a lot about fitness. We talk a lot about athletes transitioning over into fitness. Today we're going to talk about athletes transitioning over into athletics. So what that means is athletes who are becoming coaches or who are looking to become coaches in their particular concentration or sport field, whatever. So 3 things you need to take note of and kind of be aware of or work on as you move forward in the coaching arena. That's super important. Once again, this is coming from experience, and I've seen a lot of people get it right, and I've seen more people get it wrong. So figure out, jump on here and enlighten y'all on what's going on. So notes as always on the phone. First one is understand yourself. Own it and understand your persona in the field. So what that means is if you were an athlete who was super turned all the time or all up in somebody's face, you're probably going to carry some of those traits over into your coaching persona, If you were an athlete who was more on the laid back side, just wanted to get the job done, you're probably going to carry some of those traits over into your coaching persona. So you have to be yourself first and foremost. So this is not some tricky, formula or nothing like that. Be yourself, but with being yourself or within being yourself, understand what that creates for the coaching environment or the athlete's environment as a coach. So as an athlete, you being one way produced a certain thing for the team as an athlete. You being that same way may produce some of the same effects, but remember your positioning is different. So as an athlete, you was all up in somebody's face, yelling and screaming and cussing all the time. As an athlete, that shit was cool because it probably got people turned up or motivated to go smack shit out of somebody or something. But as a coach, if you do that, it could or could not, manifest in different ways for the team environment as the coach. So be yourself, but be aware of the effect that it has on the environment from your coaching position. With that being said, just a good tip or thing to do is every day after you're done coaching, just go home and kind of have like a self-reflection moment of how practice went or how the game went or how the competition went, and take notes and self-reflect on yourself about some of the things you said, some of the things you felt, some of the things you reacted or responded to, so you can kind of get a better gauge or feel for what type of coach you are. So that way, moving forward, you can be more strategic or just simply be more aware of what it is that you're doing and how you may or may not be coming across in the environment. I know for myself, I'm usually like the cool coach on the team. By default, I'm usually younger than a lot of the coaches on the staff. I got, body full of tattoos. I got hair, all that shit. I'm active on social media, all that type of shit. So kids usually look at me as like more of like that big brother or cool uncle type of role when it comes to coach. I'm not like that, super older grandfather type figure or like that really strict dad figure, or like the drill sergeant type who, they kind of watch what they say. So, just for me being more of like the cool coach, kids want to come and they want to laugh and talk to me about just about everything. They could feel more comfortable, maybe telling me certain things that they really don't want to tell the head, coach or somebody in charge or something like that. When I am in a head coaching role, some of that does tend to shift just because I have to be a little bit more systematic just to give out more instruction and orders. But for the most part, I try to keep everything light. But that's who I am. That's who I was as an athlete. I like to be competitive. I like to work hard, but at the same time, I don't like to take anything too serious because that takes me out of my mode, given my personality type. So know yourself and know that if you're something that's not like that or something that's different or something that's completely unique to you, own it and keep moving forward straight up. All right. Number two thing, which I see people mess up the most when transitioning from being an athlete to a coach in the athletic world, is to remember that your athletes or most of your athletes are not you. Okay, so that can be good thing or bad thing. So if you were more of a subpar athlete or something like that, and you may be dealing with a superstar, don't try to bring him down a notch or limit, what he can do, because you may not relate to that experience. No shade, it just is what it is. If you were a superstar athlete and you're dealing with athletes who don't have the same type of ability level, you have to be aware of that and not, try to check off the box of they're not working hard enough, or there's a lack of effort, or they're not focused, or they're not trying, or whatever. Some people just don't have the same amount of ability or capabilities, or, things or tools or intangibles needed to do certain things. So, if you were a super fast person and you're dealing with an athlete who's not super fast, like, they're probably trying to run as fast as they can. They just not fast, so you have to really exercise. With tip number 2, you have to really exercise your patience and always be able to know how to coach the fundamentals of your sport. I know sometimes, especially for the better athletes, they were so good at such a high level that you naturally kind of, maybe tailor back or get away from the fundamentals just because those things came really easy and natural to you. When you're coaching a lot of, the younger kids, high school kids, whatever, their fundamental base or their fundamental knowledge or fundamental skill set as far as expertise may not be quite to your standard. And it definitely may not match what, you were at their age or what you were as an athlete. So try to not become overly frustrated when you're coaching the younger environment, and know that most of the time, unless you just got a kid who's completely fucking around and doing his own thing, or not showing up to practice, or, he's clearly not focused. If you see them out there doing it, giving effort, it's probably, a little bit better than what they can do, or they're probably, giving it their all. So just know to be patient and really try to move through some of those fundamental things with them before you really try to judge them on a good bad scale. Try to judge them on a true false scale, and then allow the good bad things to kind of play out over time as you really get to know your athletes better. All right. And tip number 3, transitioning from tip number 2, to be honest, is just, with that being said, and tip number 2, as far as being patient and understanding that they're not you, always be sure that you're working on your verbiage and examples and metaphors, or however your coaching communication style is at all times. I also see a lot of coaches, they have a really bad habit of just yelling out what the player or athlete needs to be doing, and not really breaking down how that athlete needs to get there or achieve that goal, or what specific steps or progression they need to take to get there. It's just like, if you want somebody to do something better and you're just like, you need to get low. And it's like, okay, I know what I need to do. How do I achieve that? Do I sink more in the hips? Do I put one foot further in front than the other? Am I leaning back somewhere? You have to really understand that you just yelling out to them what they need to do or what they should be doing is usually not enough. It's usually going to take some either specific breakdown or specific drill that helps them connect to how to do what it is you want them to do. So I hope those 3 tips help for all of my former athletes or current athletes who are looking to become coaches, or who may already be coaches at some level. Number 1, know yourself, own it, and continue to develop yourself. Number 2, understand that most of the athletes that you coach, they're not going to be on your level, or they're aspiring to be on your level, but they're going to need those progressive steps and patience from your end. And then number 3, know how to progress athletes who are looking to, really rise above the standard and reach that top tier performance level, and not get too frustrated or give up on them because results are not happening immediately, or you're failing to connect with their experience.